Hey there, folks. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I'm not tired.
No, but I very much am. But welcome back to the Overflow. we are happy to be here. As you'll notice, we're here a little earlier. Why? Because suddenly I know how to schedule something. If you'll excuse me, I know that some people are probably used to it, but I tend to drink water quite a bit during podcasts and recordings, just because I'm always trying to stay hydrated with as much as I'm working out. Tonight was an especially hard workout. So my coach is a pretty experienced Thai boxer, and they are used to the Thais. He's not Thai himself, but he's trained with them. But Thais are used to long rounds. They're used to working with you until you've got everything perfect, and then you move on to the next thing. And if that takes a half hour, it doesn't matter. If they got to train you all day to get stuff right, they'll do so. So I was worked very hard, but it was a good workout. I feel good. I'm just in pain. My knee buckled on me a couple of times. Nothing's torn, at least not that I can feel. So, because I've seen an ACL tear, like my kneecap would be off right now. So, ACL's good, MCLs are good. It's just sore, probably because there's a storm coming in. But
there's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
Now here's a question, Hatman. Before we get into stuff, should I give them the details of what I just had to do?
Go for it. Follow up from boxing talk.
Yeah, so we'll give you guys a little bit of ins and outs of what boxing training is like, or at least this one. So we jump rope for 5 minutes. I'm not very good at jumping rope. I have bad rhythm, so I just was basically hopping on my feet, just kind of getting my feet moving as best I can, trying to do what I could, because I'm out of shape. I mean, let's face it, I'm still obese, but I'm getting slimmer, man. I think that you can see it on camera that I've slimmed down as the weeks have gone by. But anyway, so we do that for 5 minutes. Then we start getting into what they call 10-10-10. So you do 10 push-ups, you do 10 sit-ups, you do 10 squats. And we did that. Then what we did was combination training. So we would work combinations for 5-minute rounds. So we would do it like this. So it'd be 5 minutes. It would just be 1, 2, squat. 1, 2, 3, 4, squat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, squat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, squat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just jab straight, squat. And then you count back. On the first 10, you're moving forward. On the last 10, you're moving back. So you do that for 5 minutes. And then you move on. Then you throw different combinations that you're squatting after every single one. I must have done over 200 squat thrusts tonight. So, and then you rotate, and then you're holding pads for people, which is actually exercise too, because you've got to keep your hands up, or if your hand moves wrong when you're hitting pads, somebody's going to blast you in the chin. So it's bang, 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 they squat. You know, you want to throw a hand just so they get used to it. So, luckily I had very accommodating training partners tonight. Each was, well, one guy who was an older guy was working with me, trying to make sure that I was just getting the technique down. Another second guy I worked with, younger guy, was very patient with me because he's kind of a beginner too, and a fellow metalhead. He was wearing a Metallica shirt. I was wearing my Machine Head shirt. And then third guy was a guy that was working with me on my first day, and he was just getting me used to getting hit in the body. You know, he was like, keep your elbows down. So we would do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I would swing for the hook, and then he'd come back with a cross and a hook, but he'd push me back, and then if I didn't move back enough, he'd do a light hook straight to my liver just every time that he would come in. He's like, just getting you used to it. So it was awesome. You know that feeling, Hatman, I know you haven't done this yet, but to the audience, you know that feeling you get mentally when you beat a Dark Souls boss you've been trying to beat for a long time? That's what boxing practice is every day. It's that same sort of a gratification. You feel like you've really, really accomplished something.
That was basically me the other day, because I finally finished Halo 2 on Legendary. That sense of satisfaction and relief.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. You can get that That's why I try to encourage people to get physical. I'm not Bob Chipman. I'm not going to sit here on my ass and say, oh, you should eat better and stuff like that. I'm going to do it first. And I'm going to prove it can be done so you guys can see that and you can do it too. I want to see people sometime start tweeting at me their gains. Just tell me, hey, I went and I did a workout today. I did 10 push-ups. I did 10 sit-ups. I didn't do that the day before. I did something. Like, if you're one of those guys that just spends a lot of time in your room, you live with your parents, you know, you don't seem like you have much hope, do something physical. Just a little bit. 10 calf raises. Calf raises are easy. Then the next day, do another 10. Or whenever you're idle, do 10. You know, try doing sit-ups. If you can't do sit-ups, just do crunches. You can't do push-ups, right? Just get on your knees and do them. You know, whatever you're doing to work, it's just about getting out there and moving. You can't stay still. The human body is not meant to be stagnant. We're not built for that. We're built to, you know, we're built for locomotion. And it's unfortunate that our society is starting to kind of lose sight of that. But we're at a point where we're so rich and we're so well off that, you know, we fight each other for fun. Case in point. So, no sparring tonight, sadly. I was hoping we would spar, but apparently that's going to be tomorrow. I was hoping sparring, so I'm looking forward to that. All right. I'm sorry, I've delayed long enough. We've already been going for 6 minutes. I'm in a good mood, man. Like this, it's like a runner's high.
I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah, now I know why my dad always ran. He loved to run. I love to fight. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. Hatman, your pick as always, my friend. Politics or entertainment?
Well, I just flipped a coin, and it landed on heads, which is politics, so we'll start with politics again.
All right, I like the sound of that. All right, so politics, Eclectic 1995 leads us off, says, I remember that in Canada there's a law where they've legalized challenging someone to a duel. Do you think the U.S. should have a similar? Trudeau! Motherfucker, I am calling you out. You, me, give me 5 more months of training, 5 more in boxing. You, me in the ring. If I win, I am Prime Minister of Canada. If I lose...
Is this going to be on pay-per-view?
Absolutely. If I lose, I will sit through 3 hours of an Anita Sarkeesian lecture. And I'll try to keep a smile the whole time.
Jesus Christ.
I'm calling you out, man. You, me, fuck it, Madison Square Garden. It'll be Curtis versus the Cuck. Be there.
Legalized dueling, though. Jeez, that...
We did that once and it didn't work out very well.
Well, it killed a certain Secretary of the Treasury.
Mm-hmm. Andrew Jackson was apparently really good at it, though.
Yeah,
as a fighter, he was a motherfucker. Terrible president, but great fighter.
Just like that guy who tried to assassinate him, and I think like his pistol malfunctioned, and Andrew Jackson went and beat him with a cane until his freaking bodyguards had to like drag him away.
I heard that one. There's another motherfucker of a duel that he did because he was shot more than once. He was in a duel and was shot, but he didn't go down. It wasn't a killing shot, and he demanded that he get the chance to fire his pistol. Did kill the guy easy, just bang. He was just a little slower on the draw, and that's because he wanted precision. So, yeah, Andrew Jackson's probably the worst president of all time, but when it comes to American tough guys, he was pretty up there. Like him and Teddy Roosevelt. No, it was Teddy Roosevelt who beat the guy with the cane.
No, it was definitely Andrew Jackson who beat the guy with the cane.
Was it?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah. Teddy Roosevelt got shot and kept doing his speech.
He got shot. Yeah, he got shot mid-speech. That was the Bull Moose speech.
Yeah, that dude was fucking tough, too.
Yeah.
I know I'm praising Democrats. I kind of feel bad for that, but they used to be tough.
No, Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican.
Well, progressive Republican. Like, if you put his politics in this day and age, he'd be a Democrat.
Maybe.
But then again, some people say that Fuck Ted Kennedy. Actually, don't. You'll get locked in a trunk and then thrown into a river. But the John F. Kennedy, some people would say, would be more conservative these days, or would be more centrist. in comparison to a lot of
I'd
modern
say definitely
Democrats.
centrist.
So,
Definitely centrist.
but yeah,
I'd pay to see Andrew Jackson and Teddy Roosevelt fight, though.
oh, that'd be a barn burner. Celebrity deathmatch, man. Historical celebrity deathmatch would be fucking crazy.
Bring it back. Bring it back. Just saying.
I could only imagine what it would be like if you taught Teddy Roosevelt how to shoot a double. Like, actually, here's what you do. You take a fully healthy Andrew Jackson and a fully healthy Teddy Roosevelt, and you give them 2 years of mixed martial arts training at top gyms on opposite sides of the coast and see what happens. Anyway, to answer the question, I don't think we should have similar. I think that I will say this. I am a proponent, and this is probably going to be this probably isn't going to surprise people. I am a proponent of, settling things in the ring, with a sense of honor, being it's like, all right, I don't like you, you don't like me, let's have a sanctioned fight. Let's you and him fight. Let's do it one-on-one. Let's do it mano a mano. None of this hitting people in the back bullshit like the fucking leftists do. You see a man's caliber when you're in the ring with them. You really do. You find out whether or not they're a coward or whether or not they're a good person. If they're the type of person that will stand their ground and push forward, And so I just say that in a person, I wish the spirit of facing down your opponent, and figuring it out one way or another was more prevalent in our society, that we felt comfortable sitting across from one another and saying, I don't like you, you don't like me, let's figure this out, and then see where we can go from there. I think that is something that it's need to happen in tradition. Because that was what my dad always did with me, is he would sit me down and he'd say, Micah, let's you and I talk. You got a problem with me? Get it out of your system right now. And we'd yell and we'd rant and we'd rave at each other, but keep something in mind. My dad and I are really close. So
I'm down for a good old fashioned sword fight, or even just fencing.
But
as far
my
as like
point
dueling
is,
with pistols,
no. My just general point is that don't. It's good to work out things with people, and then to realize when you're at an impasse. Like, there are some people that I've talked to and I don't like or I don't disagree with, and I'll throw something their way and I'll be like, hey, look, what's your problem? And if they skirt around the issue, or they're not being straight with me, or if they just start playing the victim and they start backing up, like all of a sudden they don't want the conflict when they were talking shit, it's like, all right, we're done then. We're not talking anymore. There were a couple people who got on me about the video I did about Comic Story, and Captain Cummings was one of them, and there was another guy, and I confronted both of them on it and called them out on their shit, and they just kept backing up or playing the victim, and it's like, all right, I'm done. You're not men. You're not men at all. So, all right. Koopa's Revenge Home has a question for us. He wants to know, should we trade Pope Francis for the Dalai Lama, who's a lot more red-pilled when it comes to Islam? I ask on behalf of a silent minority of Catholics tired of Francis. I don't know if you're that silent anymore, man. Like, there's a lot of people who do not like Pope Francis.
I certainly haven't met any of them. As far as I know, at least of the Catholics that I know, they hated Benedict. They love Francis.
That's weird to me, because I thought Benedict was really good. But then again, it is sort of like a right-leaning, Christian and a left-leaning Christian in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Benedict was very by the book. Had a lot of compassion, though, but very by the book. Francis is a little bit too wishy-washy for my taste. So, yeah, I kind of wish that he was less of a hippie, too. That's kind of my thoughts.
But would we take the Dalai Lama, though?
No. Is he converted?
If the Dalai Lama was Catholic.
If he converted, sure. Then yeah, I wouldn't have as much of a problem. But he's the Dalai Lama. He doesn't believe in God. Or doesn't believe in Yahweh, I should say. Uh-oh. Hatman, I said the Hebrew version. You know what that means?
Oh, no.
I love that button.
Oy vey.
All right, but yeah, it would be nice for him to be less of a pansy. Ooh, Chris Jones is a good one. Thoughts on the Colorado baker being sued again? I believe it's a state retaliation for the Supreme Court decision and leftists targeting it.
So
yeah, I agree.
That story, the person who's actually suing him is a troll, more or less. It's a lawyer from the area that don't die, Micah. Are you dead? Have you died?
Not yet.
Jesus, that allergic to bullshit.
I guess so.
Jeez. Well, anyway, story goes that it's a lawyer that's basically trolling the dude. Asked for like satanic cakes, stuff like that. You know, super hardcore atheist cakes. And then the most recent one was like a transgender cake for their coming out anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, it was like blue on the outside, pink on the inside.
Yeah, or something like that. And you know, this person's been haranguing the guy for a while. Yeah. And literally, this complaint came the day after the Supreme Court victory.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's taking it up to, of course, Colorado courts because he's like, I should not have to be fucking dealing with this. This is stupid.
Yeah,
and I absolutely agree.
Like this is the problem that we had predicted would happen. Is that if you don't set a judicial precedent, which Kennedy was just not willing to do, this will happen over and over again. And I'm not surprised that some fucking crazy SJW from the People's Republic of Colorado would try to fuck with this guy. And it's disgusting.
It's fucking nonsense. But
the question really is, and this needs to be answered in our country, is when on earth is the government going to put its foot down in regards to people's religious liberties? Because if this guy was Muslim, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But because he's a Christian, there's a problem. And that's what bothers me the most. You know, because I'm lucky that this guy isn't my dad. I know I bring up my dad a lot. I love my dad. And my dad once told me a story about this lesbian couple that he knows in town, where he lives, that he had to turn down because they wanted to have him marry them. And he said, I can't do it. He's lucky that they're nice and they like him. Because, and they understood. But not everyone does. And it's kind of like what we talked about with the Alex Jones thing. Is there are certain, it's not just an amendment. There's a tradition there that needs to be observed because it's part of American life. Part of the American philosophy. And the inability to recognize that is a scary thing. So, it's probably going to end up at the Supreme Court again. And
wouldn't be surprised.
And hopefully, I mean, by that point we'll have Kavanaugh on there, most likely. At that point, I'm hoping they have the balls to put their foot down and say, this stops now. You will honor his religious beliefs. Boycott him. Use the free market against him if you want to. But this is his right. And here's what's crazy. If, let's say that this wasn't a baker and a cake shop. Let's say this was a S&M orgy that they want to do in the basement of a church. We wouldn't be having this conversation either, or in a mosque. There'd be no conversation at all.
He should just change the name of his shop to Twitter. Then maybe people will say, oh, it's a private business. They can turn away whoever he wants.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that, man. You know, what was the Reagan quote? freedom is only one generation away from extinction.
Mm-hmm.
It's true every generation, and it's got to be fought for. All right. Hardboiled Entertainment asks, if Benedict had remained Pope, would this cover-up had happened in regards to the sexual abuse cover-up that we talked about on the Politics podcast? Well, part of it happened during his time.
Yeah.
And the prior Pope as well, before him.
Yeah, John Paul II.
So, it's not about that. It was a smaller group of people. But the fact that the cardinals, I don't think the Pope had any knowledge. And
yeah,
Francis came out with a statement today where he was just completely disgusted and appalled. And he's like, this is not what Jesus is about. Like he
needed the Pope to say that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the thing. It shouldn't. The Bible should be enough.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I know a person who's a preacher who put his hands on somebody when he wasn't supposed to. And I always just, I think about him and I think about other people I know that have fucked up, and I just say, it's like, this book is enough for us. There's so much there to guide us on a day-to-day basis. And we don't take it into account for whatever reason. And I say that as a sinner myself. I mean, I've cursed so much, probably in this podcast alone, that God is going, oh, stop it. But I'll try to be better tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. And I'm never going to give up. Because I want to be a man of God. And that's the pursuit that every believer, it doesn't matter what your denomination is, every single believer has to have that as their pursuit. What are you chasing every day? You can be chasing a better job. You could be chasing better fitness. You could be chasing all these other things. I'm chasing those. But I'm chasing those because the scripture tells me to love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. With every element of my being. And to love my neighbor as myself. And I'm working on all of it simultaneously every single day. But I have to understand what that means. It means I have to be faithful to the woman I love. Now, I don't have a woman I love right now, but I might someday. And whether she exists or not, I have to be faithful to the singular idea of what God wants for me when it comes to the way that I court women and the way that I interact with women and so on and so forth. And that children are innocent. And that God wants them to grow and develop and learn more about Him. If I harm that child, if I do not exercise mercy towards that child, am I really pursuing Christ in that manner? Of course not. You can dig up scripture upon scripture about mercy. I actually did a short speech when I was in college to this high school group about mercy, because it was just a topic that we were talking about, the fruits of the Spirit, and mercy is one that a lot of people don't really understand. Mercy is having power and not using it. My life would be so much simpler if I just punched everyone in the face. It would be. One left hook and it's lights out for them. More often than not. But that's not mercy. That's not what I'm called to do. And if you say, not only am I a man of God, I'm going to preach the word of Christ, then the onus is really on you. You can't just be good. You got to be great. You can't just be a good Christian. You have to be so good that everyone else wants to be you and wants to be the person that you follow. There has to be a creed there. Or else this is what happens. If you every day realize and say, I pursue the Almighty, I pursue what he wants for me. What you'll start to see is that you are becoming humble. You realize you don't have the power, that you're not the king. There's a great song by a band called Audio Adrenaline from back in the day. It's just that chorus is, I'm not the king, I just sing. That's it. I'm just a guy. In my opinion, that's what fear of the Lord is. It's not really fear of... it's fear of... It's why I'm still afraid of my father when I'm twice his size. He knows more than me. He's wiser than I am. There's a lack of power here with me that my dad has. And he's got skills that I don't. Patience being one of them. Patience with people. I don't have patience with people. I'm very, very bad with that. But it is that understanding of perspective. And when somebody why pride is such a bad sin and why it makes you fall is because you're relinquishing the idea that you are beneath God. Now, oddly enough, Tom King, in the most recent issue of Batman, put that in perspective so well of how flawed humanity is. And that losing that sense of being flawed and not being this thing that is beyond judgment makes you screw up. That is why humility is so important. These monstrous men became monsters of their own volition through every choice that they made. They didn't look at themselves and say, I am sick. Heal me. They didn't go seek help. They didn't give up the cloth. They were addicted to the power. They tried to become God. May they burn in hell for what they did. All right, let's move on to entertainment. Koopa's Revenge Home says, this is more for Hatman. So This will be a good one after I ranted all that. Queen Metroid versus the Metroid Prime.
Ooh. Like who would win in a fight, or who's my favorite?
Let's do both.
Well, obviously I'd have to say the Metroid Prime would be my favorite. Because keep in mind, that also means Dark Samus. As far as who would win in a fight, I would also probably have to go with the Metroid Prime. The power of Phazon is basically so unstoppable that the only thing in Metroid Prime 2 and hell, all of the Metroid Prime games really, the only thing that could beat Phazon was Phazon. Like you had to absorb it in order to do that. Like even for God's sake, into Metroid Prime 3, like you went to full hyper mode, 100% corruption, just so you could fight the evil power. There's a reason why everybody was freaking out, and that the Leviathans were definitely a massive threat that needed to be handled. Yeah, I mean the Metroids needed to be genocided, but they were more or less like confined to a single planet until the space pirates decided to fuck around. Well, then again, the space pirates fucked around with Phazon. Well, then again, no, the Leviathans were sent from Phase to... Okay, enough lore. Dark Samus, Metroid Prime, play of the game, all games.
Fair enough.
I hope that was enough nerding out for you.
Yeah. Okay, Crystal Wing asks, if SJW Star Wars can be saved by Disney, can SJW Marvel be destroyed and true Marvel be brought back if Disney gets involved? Well...
You'd have to retcon quite a bit.
Well, the big problem, honestly, is you'd have to be willing to really put business first, and Marvel just is not able to. I think that Disney is going to have to come in and start firing people left and right for it to happen. I mean, it could happen. I don't believe that it's irredeemable. There is some good stuff in Marvel right now. Champions is good. Spider-Man is good. Venom is
Champions is good?
Yeah. But oddly enough, Jim Zub has really turned the series around.
Wow.
It basically reads like he's trying to do Marv Wolfman's Teen Titans, but he's doing a good job of it.
Color me surprised.
I know. He did a arc on global warming, and it wasn't total cringe.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but Venom is good still. It's being written by a different guy named Donny Cates. What else? Thor's good too. Thor is good again. So, like, those are the Marvel books that I read, like, every month. I make it a point to read them. And, you know, Tony Stark Iron Man's not bad either. That's Dan Slott. Who else is there? What are some of the other ones that I've really enjoyed?
Slott is getting Iron Man right.
He's doing pretty well with it. He's having fun with it. And the only thing is like, so far it's felt like a series of one-shots. He made fun of SJWs in the most recent issue, though.
Interesting.
He turned Machine Man into an SJW. It was hilarious.
I guess he doesn't have the same contempt for Tony Stark like he did for Peter Parker.
I don't think that he really had contempt for Peter Parker. I think he had contempt for the fan base at that point.
It sort of felt like he did.
Well, I just think that really he just liked to fuck with people. Because at that point he could do whatever he wanted and Marvel wasn't going to tell him no.
Oh God, that's definitely not a reason to do stuff.
Yeah, let's put Peter Parker with fucking feminist Mockingbird. Nobody liked it, and then they just broke them up quietly. And then they put Peter Parker and Mary Jane back together, and now everyone's happy because that's what everybody wanted. I mean, the dynamics between MJ and Peter in both David Michelini's run and JMS's run, so good. Okay, but anyway, it can be done. Yeah, it's just my thing is you got to fire Brevoort. You've got to fire Tom Brevoort at this point. He is just too terrible. Eclectic 1995 says, with some trends of the 70s and 80s making a comeback, do you think that disco could return as well, or should it stay in the past? It should stay dead forever.
Disco.
Fuck disco.
Why would you want disco back?
Fuck disco.
Why would you want that back? Why would you even suggest having that back?
I'm okay with good punk music coming back. I'm good with retro metal. I'm good with things along those lines. Disco? Actually, I'm okay with pop singers writing their own material again. Instead of coming off a fucking conveyor belt. But no disco.
No.
Fuck that.
Just say no to disco.
Okay. Swordsman 100 asks, did we see the Alex Jones Doom Guy video? Not sure if he means the old one or the new one that Sargon did. I didn't see the new one that Sargon did, but I saw the old one, and I love it.
The old one's funny. I haven't seen the new one.
So. Freaking hilarious. These people are demons. Freaking demons. It's so good. And not to mention, how do you not love Mick Gordon's soundtrack for that game? It's fucking incredible.
Oh, man. It makes me want to rip and tear.
Absolutely. All right, Ryan Ruby fan wants to know something. He wants to know, with Dragon Ball, Super or GT? Super.
Is that even a question? Yeah, Super. GT was a train wreck.
It had the worst pacing ever.
It was just an absolute train wreck.
And Super Saiyan 4 looks dumb.
And, well, not even that. Like, just the way that you had to go about it was so dumb. Oh, you have to turn into a giant Uzuru. What the... What? And then, like, Bulma shoots a laser beam at Vegeta to get him to... What?
He skips Super Saiyan 3 completely.
Yeah. That doesn't make any... Oh, my God.
It's sort of like there has to be an instruction booklet that comes with it. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you need to do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. Then you turn into a giant monkey. Then you turn into a small monkey. Nah, no thank you. Just Give him blue
Yeah.
hair. Because you gotta have blue hair.
Gotta have blue hair.
I really need that strong bad luchador mask.
Yes. I need Trogdor the board game, but I have to wait a whole year for it.
It'll happen someday.
It will be here. It will.
But here's a good one. This is topical because the quartering did a back and forth with my old boss, Angry Joe. How am I connected to all these people? This is fucking weird. Anyway, Chris Jones asks, in regards to the Battlefield 5 situation, do you think companies will finally get the hint that attacking your fan base is not a good idea? Go woke, get broke, man. Excuse me. I mean, it's still true. Do you like money? Still learn to like your customers. It's like, all right, we want to put women in Battlefield 5. Oh, there's a negative backlash. Why are they mad? Okay, they think it's political, and they want historical accuracy from a game set in history. I don't think those are unfair criticisms. Because my thing is it's like, why does everything have to be political? You know, like that's a question I haven't had answered properly yet, or even been argued. Why does everything have to be political? You know, if everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is a fucking conspiracy theory, you need to prove to me that there's some basis there. Not this, oh, it's all subjective. No, fuck you. You can't be half pregnant. You can't think, oh, I've just got a little bit of a tummy when you're in your third trimester and the baby just disappears without going to Planned Parenthood. That was a very dark joke, I'm sorry. But point being... Yeah, God, that was terrible. Why did I say that? Anyway, damn it, Micah. I'm gonna blame the shot to the liver. Point being that, like, if somebody says you're getting too political, just take the hint. Be like, all right, the two things that most people don't like to talk about are politics and religion. Just don't do it. Like, it's you can still have a fun game without them. There are thousands upon thousands of fun video games without them.
Nintendo seems to know how to do it.
Well, they haven't made Link a chick yet, so...
No, not yet. But even then, is that really getting too heavy into politics?
According to Bob Chipman.
Well,
Fuck
Cinema
Movie
Robert
Bob?
is yeah, fuck Movie Bob.
Okay. So that's our thoughts on that. Final question. Hard-Boiled Entertainment asks us, who would we cast for a live-action Cowboy Bebop?
Keanu Reeves is Spike.
Disagree. Here's why. Keanu, as much as I love him, has two emotions when he's acting. He has stoic and angry. That's it. Spike has a lot more layers than that.
True.
Without that, Keanu kind of goes into dude territory. And I don't want dude with Spike. I don't. It's gotta be cool and relaxed. If he was 10 years younger, Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be perfect for it. But as it stands right now, he would be better as Jack Black. If he beefed up a little bit. Either him or Josh Brolin.
I'd take Jeffrey Dean Morgan over Josh Brolin.
Think so?
Yeah.
As for Spike these days, I was thinking somewhere... Who was the guy who played... not Robin in The Dark Knight Rises? Was also in
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be my pick for Spike.
I don't know. I don't know, because, see, I'm just imagining, like, him in 500 Days of Summer and just that sort of trying to be cooler than he actually is, but just coming off as, like, extremely fucking lame.
Never seen it, so I can't say.
It's not a movie that you would enjoy.
Probably not. It sounds like trash.
No, you would definitely not enjoy. Okay, the guy who directed that is who they got to do Amazing Spider-Man.
Ugh.
Yeah. Hmm. What about Andrew Garfield, actually?
No. You run into a lot of the same problems with him. Um,
Because I'm thinking, like, of someone who could pull off the whole smart-ass thing, too.
who's the guy who just recently played James Kirk? He was in Wonder
Chris
Woman.
Pine?
Chris Pine would be pretty good at it.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think he would. You know, look, I'll go with Chris Pine for that.
Fair enough. Fair
'Cause
enough.
I almost thought about not Chris Evans, the other Chris from the MCU.
Oh, Hemsworth?
Him, not Hemsworth either. Fuck. Pratt, Chris Pratt as well.
Oh,
But
right.
he's already doing Star-Lord, and
Yeah.
let's be honest
close
about
enough.
something. Star-Lord in the MCU is basically somebody trying their hardest to be Spike Spiegel. To be as cool as Spike Spiegel is. But he just can't do it. And that's kind of what the charm is. Because there's a lot of Chris's character from Parks and Rec on there.
Yeah.
And Faye Valentine. So who's an actress with huge boobs and no ass?
That's difficult.
In all seriousness, though, just who would be a good pick for Faye? A woman who exudes cool that is not named Scarlett Johansson.
Mm. Woman who exudes cool. That's not Scarlett Johansson.
Because you need somebody who can play, like, collected. Because to me, Faye was always very collected.
Yeah. That's a very good question.
If she was 10 or 15 years younger, I would actually say, let's do a race swap and have Halle Berry do it.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
I think she could do very well. I like Halle Berry as an actress, too. Or if she was 10 years younger and didn't hack off her boobs and get fake ones, I would say Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. What about this is kind of a weird choice. The girl who plays Maggie in Walking Dead. I'm gonna forget her fucking name. Lauren Cohen.
Lauren Cohen wouldn't be bad. I think she's a fox, personally. Either her or Amelia Clark, I would think would be good.
I lean more towards Lauren Cohen in that department.
I kind of am too, but Amelia would be a good second pick, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
She can play chill really well, from what I've noticed.
Well, see, I'm just thinking because her role in Solo wasn't that dissimilar from a Faye Valentine type character, and that really wasn't. She didn't do the best in that position. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I'm hesitating.
Well, I didn't see Solo, so I can only say so much.
You didn't miss much.
For Edward, the girl who plays Sansa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Because I don't know if she could do.
I mean, not Sansa. Shit. What's the youngest name?
Oh, Aria?
Aria. Yes.
I don't know if she could do Ed either.
Seriously?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone who is like spontaneous and stupid.
Have you seen Maisie Williams talk?
But
she could pull it off.
But I don't know if she's got the sort of like I just ate 10 pounds of sugar and I have a super soaker. Watch this sort of mentality.
She's an energetic young girl. I've seen interviews with her. She's a spaz.
Maybe. But I can't think of anyone else, so I might have to default to you on that one.
Fair enough. So, is there, like, what about Vicious?
Oh, that'd be hard. Racking my brain, man. Racking my brain.
So with Vicious,
Who's
a really good young villain actor?
Young. That is a good question.
He's got to be able to play cold and sadistic really well.
I would have said Dane DeHaan pre Amazing Spider-Man 2 because he played a great villain in Chronicle.
What about Daniel Bruhl?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting.
And then we get Peter Dinklage to play Ein.
Oh, yes, I want to see Peter Dinklage hopping around.
Well, we saw him as a giant. So
now we can see him as a dog.
Exactly. Oddly enough, has worked in 2 different Marvel movies. He was also Boulevard Trask in Days of Future Past.
Yes, he was.
So, did wonderful in that role too. All right, folks. That is what we have for this week. I have apparently caught my breath, and I didn't die. That was the really impressive part. Now we'll see how I feel tomorrow morning. But needless to say, I am going to go get some rest and some food. I need some protein. So we are going to take off. Hatman, any final words?
I'm also going to get some food, and hopefully I will be able to eat enough to keep me satisfied for the next 3 days.
There we go. Also, folks, do not forget, this coming Saturday, Micah and The Hatman, the podcasts, will be on this channel instead of on my main channel. They are here.
And this is the anniversary show.
It is the anniversary show, and I have not lined up guests yet. So, I'm going to see who I can get in the next few days. If not, we're just going to have a fun, long stream. So, yeah. Until that point, though, my name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
We'll see you guys this Saturday. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.